I know what people say about having a job, that you're working for someone else, it's not your own work, but there is definitely a sense of stability that that you're going to receive a paycheck, every 2 weeks. You have that kind of guaranteed money. And with that kind of security, I've still kept up my side hustle. I still have one client that I'm tutoring. I have another client where I'm building a website for. And I kind of been taking my time learning new things, building the web application I'm building. During this time, I was able to take a couple courses through deeplearning.com or .ai. I can't remember. I'll plug it in. Basically learning how to build things with Crew AI, obviously. I just recently started a course on Coursera about how to use Claude Code, which is something that I've kind of was not sure if I wanted to actually use. I have used it to ask certain questions that I couldn't figure out, or certain error codes that I couldn't find the answer for when I would search. So being able to take these courses and take my time and actually get a little bit of value out of it has been great. And so I've been able to work and learn kind of at a leisurely pace, and then do something I like to do, which I haven't done in a while, but releasing YouTube videos. The thing is I've always typically have had a full-time position most of my career. I think the last time I had a contract job was when I first got out of high school. So getting back into working again, which is awesome. Working a contract position, it kind of puts a little bit of fire under you, especially when you come to the end of your contract. Now, my contract ended, but it got renewed. I am grateful that it's been renewed. The thing is I thought it was going to be renewed for 6 months. It's actually only 3 months. So I was surprised, honestly. And it's kind of lit a fire under me now that I need to get this project up and running as quickly as possible. And if I still want to do these videos and share the process, I need to change a lot of things. One of the things I really need to focus on is building this. I have to build it, and I have to build it as quickly as possible. The thing is like I mentioned, I am using this currently for my own use, but I feel that maybe other people might get a use out of it. And it's a very important part of my social media marketing kind of angle. One of the things that I have gotten from the social media webinars that I've taken is to choose not only a platform, but what kind of content you want to focus on. And for me, my focus is long form content. I do not have any time in the day to do short form. I just don't have that latitude, nor do I want to. So one of the many tools that I kept coming across as far as with the webinars and on my own research is basically you have to pay for it, obviously. I really can't afford Jasper AI, even though it would really help me, I feel. It's just not feasible, considering right now I'm only doing usually 1 long form or 2 long form pieces per week, and I can't justify spending that amount of money. Another thing I came across is research, which I feel like I need to do more YouTube research. I'm going to build a tool for that as well. But I can't afford, is it Velo? I can't afford that one as well. And if you include both of those, it's well over $100 a month for something I feel like I can build myself. I may not be a pro, but I know enough to be dangerous. Literally, I don't want a repeat of how I felt and where I was when I first got laid off about over a year ago. So I need to do this, and if I want to sustain myself, and I really don't want to apply for jobs again, I might have to, but I want to be able to do this and get it done. And if this helps other folks, that would be golden. I mean, it's been helpful for me with the code that I've built in Jupyter Notebook, but it's not really helpful for sharing for users who aren't like technical, right? So I really need to build this. Now, I've shared my setup for this project where I do more like a modular setup, which is definitely intentional because I want to be able to add features or different functionality, and if I find that folks aren't interested in it or aren't using it, I could pull it if I need to, but I don't want to muck up the rest of my project because everything is in line and on the same, script, right? So the modular setup is not really, in my opinion, popular. Everyone does everything in line, so I haven't been able to find any good examples either in like a YouTube video or any of the GitHub repositories I've researched so far. And if I really want to ramp this up, I need a little bit of help converting my Jupyter Notebook into an actual, functional part of my app. So that's what has been holding me up. And now that I only have basically a few weeks left, so I'm kind of giving myself about a month to get this up and running, deployed. Yeah, I need to get everything up and running as quickly as possible right now. I spent a good weekend trying to find something that I could use to mimic or, give me some ideas on how to implement it. And I really couldn't find anything. So I realized, I might need to use Claude for this. I have asked it for pointers, for little one-off error messages, or if there's something I couldn't figure out as far as like a part of my function that I couldn't figure out, I would ask it questions and say, maybe you can help me. But I've never did any vibe coding. I feel pretty good about prompting for other things, but prompting for code, I haven't tried. And that's kind of where this course from Coursera comes in. And one of the things that this course provided is a research paper on prompting, which I'm still reading. But what I've gleaned from it so far is that it can do things that you can't do. But you have to be prepared, or you have to give it some structure and some background. It's totally different, than prompting for, say, your brand. Like, say, if you want it to help you build a brand, it's way different than that. There's more you have to put into the prompt itself to get it to help you in the way that you need it to help you. Now, the thing is when I first started the course, the guy was, at the time, I don't know when he had filmed it, but he said that, it's going to be about $50 if you don't get a subscription and you just pay as you go. And I did the math, and I'm like, well, $50, I can put that towards a full year subscription, and I'm pretty sure I'll use it because I do prompt a lot for different things. And so I did suck it up. The thing is, I used my freelance money or freelance funds to fund it, so I don't feel it like really hit my pocket because I keep those two things separate. And so I did. Now I am halfway through the course, but I'm at a point where I can start using what I'm learning on this project. Like I mentioned before, I had a hard time trying to find something I could mimic with the setup that I have. And so I thought, okay, well, I know enough to experiment with Claude Code. So let's see if it can help me with my current project. So I just read the paper. I actually printed it out to refer back to when I need it. So a prompt pattern is very similar to a software pattern in that it's something you can use. It's a reusable solution that you can apply to whatever you're trying to solve. Now, the paper goes into way more detail that I'm going to cover. I'm just going to show you the 3 that I used. So the first one was a persona pattern, and basically it's a way to give the LLM a role to play. And this is really good because it will respond in such a way depending on whatever you give it, whether it's a job description or a title, or you want it to play a particular character, whether it's fictional or not. But that is what I did. So in the very beginning of my prompt, I said, you are an expert software engineer with over a decade of experience. And the reason why I wanted it to respond or be in that role is because I didn't need it to explain to me in every detail of its solution. I just needed to get straight to the point. And one of the ways of doing that is, hey, it's an expert, so it doesn't need to technically tell me everything, right? And if I don't know something, I can always ask it, or I can do my own research. The other pattern I use was a template pattern. And the reason why is because I want to have a particular output in a particular structure. And this provides a way to narrow down its output because of what I asked it. It needs to create code or create something I can use within my program that I don't have to change my project structure. So what I did is I used the tree command, which is by Old Man Programmer, and gave it my project's directory structure, because when you just let it create something, it's going to put everything in line. Because that's how a lot of the Streamlit projects I've seen, now I could be wrong, but a lot that I've seen has everything and the kitchen sink inside of one file, or maybe 2, but it's not broken down. So I want it to know, okay, the files you create have to fit within this structure I give you. And the third and final pattern I gave it was a recipe pattern. And basically what I wanted to do was output a set of steps that I could follow to convert my Jupyter notebook into my app. And the way I worded it was, can you give me a step-by-step game plan on how to convert the crew that I currently have in my Jupyter notebook to this project? And that really helped me because, like I said, I want to implement it myself. I mean, I could let Claude Code go in there and do things, but I kind of want to learn how to do this myself before letting it jump in and muck around. So this is what I used. Now, if you're interested, definitely check and read the research paper, because again, it has way more patterns than I actually used. So I prompted it with what I needed it to do. I shared a little bit of my crew structure in my Jupyter notebook, as well as my project tree as it stands right now. And I kind of had to suck up my pride a little bit, because I have this like overwhelming feeling that I'm cheating, especially since I'm not very strong in building with Streamlit. And I guess I feel like if you aren't struggling and you don't figure out yourself, that you're kind of like a failure in a way, right? But I know that's not true. I mean, I use answers from Stack Overflow to help me with things. I dig into GitHub repositories and YouTube videos for explanations and walkthroughs and things like that. So I don't know why I feel that way, but I kind of do. And plus, it's like I feel like I'm consulting an oracle in some ways. So I'm like, this thing can kind of code pretty good. I mean, it does a decent job. So coming back and digging into the UI, because that's what I needed help with at first. It's just, okay, how do I convert this top-down Jupyter notebook into actually something functional? So what I'd like to do is I'd like to focus on the UI first, because if I can get the information, because that's what you're trying to get. You're trying to get information from the user and then insert them into variables to be digested, obviously, by the AI crew, right? So I said, hey, Claude, go ahead and try to build me a UI. And I took what it built straight out, and, it did a pretty decent job. It introduced different widgets in Streamlit that I haven't ever come across. So one of the things that I do, and I recommend other people doing too, if you decide to use Claude Code or anything that you're not sure about, go into the documentation. I still believe, and this has been beaten into me, is to go to documentation, because it's like the Bible for whatever you're trying to build or use. Whatever framework you're trying to use for your project, consult the documentation, because it'll help you. Now with the UI, I just plugged in the code straight out and did what Claude suggested. And I immediately found an issue with the code. It just wasn't user-friendly. There's no way a sidebar with all that information is going to be usable for anybody. So I moved it to the main, or the center, because that's where it needs to be. It's bigger, people can see it. So, I realized, okay, Claude can't do everything. It can't see everything, but it did give me a good jumping off point. And I am going to go ahead and finish the course that I have started on Coursera. And, this feeling that I have about coding with Claude and just vibe coding in general, I think that I might get more used to it, but I might not. I don't know. We'll see as time to, as I continue with it. So Claude Code gave me just enough information, or just enough implementation to kind of make it my own. Now, I do know a little bit about web development, so I knew there's certain things that I needed to do and make sure that the user knows why they're filling out certain fields, and going from there. And then one of the things that it really helped me out with was the hashtags. I know that I needed to do some type of list comprehension here, but I didn't know exactly how to do it, because I do need some logic within the comprehension. But what it did do was give me
a pretty good scaffold as far as what I needed to accomplish. One of the things is, I know people sometimes forget to do the hash in front of their tag. So I wanted my code to be able to catch that and to add a hash if it didn't have one. Another thing is the file itself, being able to bring it in as well as digest it so that the user can see, oh yeah, it did bring the file in, and here's the preview. I really didn't think about that. Actually, Claude did, so it was nice that it figured that out. So everything right now in my UI looks like it's working. So yeah. So if you found this video informative, just give it a thumbs up. If you want to keep following me on this journey, then you have to subscribe. All right, till next time, friends.